there's really no judgment. There's no right or wrong way to express yourself in art therapy. And it's really just about exploring your emotions, your experiences, and your ideas and expressing those as art. So I hope that people brought something to draw with. If not, just paper and pencil or pen is fine, no worries. The first thing I'm going to have you do is to draw a check-in drawing. And that's simply a way to see how you're doing this morning. So ask yourself, how's your energy level? What emotions are going on for you? Just generally, if a good friend were to ask, how you doing? What would you tell them? So I'm going to give you about 5 to 7 minutes to do a check-in drawing with whatever materials you have handy, whatever that might be. If you have highlighters, or maybe you have markers or crayons with you. And just express without any drawings of things, using just lines, shapes, and textures. Express your mood and your energy level and whatever else is on your mind. And then we'll process that in just a moment. I'm imagining that a few people might have finished their drawings. If you're still drawing, that's fine. Continue. I'm going to move the next slide on, which is some questions to answer about your drawing. So just make a note briefly of answers to these 2 questions. All right, we're going to go on now. And what I would like to do is ask for just 2, maybe 3 volunteers to share briefly with the group, and we'll spotlight you, to share a little bit about what the experience was like to draw your check-in drawing and what you learned from when you answered the 2 questions. So if you are willing to share a little bit with the group, please raise your hand, click on the little hand icon at the top of your screen. And Lynn, is it easier for me to select them or for you to? Do you mind doing it?
I can do that.
Okay. There's somebody, Lauren Hugson.
All right.
And Lauren, if you put your camera on, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you all?
Nice to see your face.
Yeah, it's nice to see people this morning.
If you could try just holding your drawing up to the camera so we can see it a little bit.
I might have to take off my background.
You may have to.
There we go. We can see that.
If you can see that very well.
Yes.
So this is a really fun experience. I'm a chronic doodler. In meetings, especially when I get stressed out, it's kind of a coping mechanism. So this was something that very similar to what I like to do in meetings to kind of recenter myself. But it's a fun exercise. So I checked in with my body and I was feeling really cramped because it's early. And so I started drawing that, and then my brain was like, you know, what would feel really good is if we stretched. And so my lines got like really kind of curvilinear and long, and that's just what felt right to do. And I went through it and kind of started from the outward and going inward, and then I got really kind of aggravated by the blank space, the open negative, I guess the open space in the drawing, so that got filled in. It was interesting to observe kind of how my sensation and mood changed as I started drawing shapes and filling in and colors, and then the response, what shapes materialized in response to those feelings. So this is what happened. My biggest takeaway this morning is that I need to stretch. You know, my body, that was kind of made me feel like mentally my body's kind of going, or my brain's going, stretch your body, you know, stretch your lines out, stretch, you know, flex your muscles a little bit. And so that's the message I got from my art this morning.
Well, I love that. I love that you had a process of change while you were actually doing your drawing, that you were kind of getting in touch with what was going on, and the drawing reflected that and then changed accordingly. I think that's really a wonderful process you went through there. And thank you for being bold and brave and volunteering to share with everybody. Really appreciate that. Beautiful drawing.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Okay, do we have one other volunteer? I don't see any hands up. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll go on to the next activity in that case.
We have one. We had Mary Henderson.
Wonderful.
Raised her hand. Let me find. That's what it was. Mary. Do you still want to share with us? Just need to
turn on my microphone.
Okay, there you go.
Great.
So I did a lot of artwork in high school, but I always struggled with being creative. I could copy things really well, duplicate things, but so doodling and that kind of thing is hard for me. But what I did was I feel happy and energetic today. So I started with a big pink bubbly thing, and then and I actually almost did blues at first, but because I love blue. But I thought, you know what, I feel more like just energetic and happy and bubbly. So I just did a bunch of like streamers and party kind of bubbles and streamers.
Fantastic. And what message did you get from your drawing when you asked yourself that question?
Just that I feel happy and energetic and ready to go and get going for the day.
Well, hello. Wonderful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I love how you said I was going to do blue, but I felt too happy. So is that where the red came from? Is when you realized that you were happier than blue?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing. Okay, we're going to move on to our next activity. So I hope everyone's screen is large enough to see. If you're on an iPad, I think you can expand the size of the images. What I'd like you to do is ask yourself the question, what do I need right now? What's something I could really use right now? This could be a quality, it could be an experience, whatever it is that you feel you need inside right now. And choose one and limit yourself to one of these images, these symbols. And when you do that, I want you to then answer those same two questions we had before, which are, this symbol makes me feel, and this symbol has these messages for me. So how does it make you feel, and what message is there for you? And in just a moment, I'm going to ask for volunteers again and take one or two folks that are willing to share what symbol they chose, how it makes them feel, and what message that symbol has for them today. All right, so when anyone's ready, please volunteer and we will see you. It looks like Liz Richardson is ready to share. Let's see what Liz has to say for us. Okay, Liz, so just to let us know what miniature you chose and what message it has for you today and how it makes you feel.
Well, you have so many here that I relate to that could take care of a lot of aspects that I'm going through. But I'm a Pooh fan. I love Pooh, so I'll just take Pooh and I will snuggle up with Pooh and take a nap and just let the rest of it just melt away. So that's what I chose.
That sounds wonderful. What's the main feeling that you have when you think about doing that with Pooh?
Just relaxing and allowing the stress and the knowledge that my picture is me with this look on my face, and I've got all these bubbles around me that I've got to juggle, that I've got to keep going. And if I let one of them fall, what's gonna happen. So instead of focusing on all the bubbles right now, I'll just take Pooh and we'll take the blanket and his little night hat and we'll just go take a nap. And we'll try again.
Sounds like a wise choice. I hope you get the chance to do that in real life sometime soon. Sounds like that's your message. Get me a nap, girl. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. And we have a couple other people. Looks like Verda Davis has volunteered.
So I picked down in the bottom right-hand side, there's a little Buddhist monk on a telephone. And when you first started, oh my goodness, I didn't realize you could tell that I'm in a robe and everything. What I needed today I did happy hour last night. What I needed today was calm and focus. And so looking through these, once I saw that Buddhist monk, I was like, that's the calm and focus that I need. But the thing that kicked it for me was that he's on the phone. And so how can I find that way of keeping that calm and focus when I am on the phone with work, with parents, with family, whatever it is, to still be that monk in the world, if that kind of makes sense. That's kind of the symbols and the messages that I got. How to carry that calm into the world.
Wonderful. So it sounds like a balance issue of doing what you need to do, but having that sense of calm as well.
Yeah. Balance. I think it's more of that self-care type thing. Like, how can I keep taking care of myself while still staying on the phone with the rest of the world? Yeah.
All right, beautiful. All right, well, thank you. And this is a fun activity that you can actually do for yourself. You can get a little collection. It's kind of a riot to collect these miniature objects. If you're a yard sale person, there's always little things you can collect, and to have your own little collection of miniatures, and then you can use those in your life as a way to communicate with yourself, if you will, a way to communicate with your interior state. So I really recommend doing that. I also recommend doing the first activity, the check-in drawing, whenever whenever you have time, to just take a few minutes during the day to check in with yourself. If you really want to go hog wild, you can create a daily practice of self-care check-in drawings. So we will move on to one more activity today, and that is looking at some opposites. Now, you might use your first drawing as a starting point to figure out what opposites you might be dealing with right now. But there are some suggestions up on the screen where you can find two opposite qualities, one generally stressful and one more life-giving and life-supporting. And what I'd like you to do is find a way to draw and express both of those qualities and how they relate to each other. And you might want to, again, just work with line, shape, and color. Don't worry about drawing something realistic, but that's just a suggestion. That's certainly not a rule. You can draw realistic things if you want to. So we'll give you about 5 to, we'll say 7 minutes this time to do your drawing of how what these two states look like and how they interact with each other. And then again, we'll ask for volunteers at the end. You still have several minutes to finish your drawing, but I'm putting up on the screen again the questions I'd like you to answer for yourself when you do finish your drawing. All right, so we'll bring that to a close. And again, we will ask for some volunteers that would be willing to share your drawings and the answers to your questions. So please, again, raise your hand if you're willing. I see Rhonda Henry has volunteered. Lynn, do you want to bring her to us?
So I did anxiety and peace. And so for me, anxiety was real easy, and I wish it wasn't. It was uncomfortable and pokey, and I realized I put it way down in the corner, which I felt like was really on point, that when I feel anxious, I feel backed into a corner and I don't feel like I have a lot of choices, and just uncomfortable. And peace for me is this flow that, like, there's ups and downs. I don't know if you can see the little, like, there's things that bubble up, but I can handle them because they're not all at once. I can ride that wave and ride that flow a little bit, and I can enjoy and appreciate what's going on. And that anxiety piece is just, it's like this, Brillo pad coming at me of just, there's nothing warm, fuzzy, comforting at all. It's me backed into the corner. And I think for me, it made me feel that it really showed to me that difference between the constriction of anxiety and the sort of flow or ease that comes with peace. And my message was let go of some things and get out of the corner and just take a breath. That was really my message for myself this morning.
Beautiful. So I like how you connected it with your breath for the piece, because I think that's so important.
Yes, and I can easily forget because, in anxiousness, it's tight and crunchy and I'm not breathing. And so, yeah, take a breath and go with that flow a little bit.
Yeah, beautiful job. Thank you for sharing that. I think the breath is so important. In art therapy, it's giving us an opportunity to get in touch with our bodies because in drawing, we're actually using our bodies. And something that I've used for myself recently is just the understanding that one slow, deep breath with the intention to let go can be a real life changer. Just in that moment, you can really change your perspective and change your energy level just with one good breath. So thank you for sharing, Rhonda. Beautiful. All right, how about Amy Lorenzo? Would you like to share with us?
So I chose fear and love. Fear was kind of the black, very disorganized, different, lines going different ways, that type of thing. And love just representing by a heart. And the way that it makes me feel, a heart makes me feel valued. And so, for me, it's, the love and that kind of thing. But the message that it sends to me is that I need to just not fear. During this pandemic, there's been, just a lot of anxiety and fear, just fear of the unknown, not knowing what's going, the isolation, that type of thing. And so I just kind of wanted it to reflect that, I don't need to fear. I just need to stay calm, take a day at a time, and move on. So fear not and choose love. So that was kind of the message with my fear and love.
All right, beautiful job. Thank you. I think we could all relate to that message about the pandemic bringing up fear, and your fear looks very, very dense. And I think most of us can relate to that at some point during the pandemic. So thank you for sharing that. We appreciate it. All right, it looks like Elizabeth Coots has volunteered to share.
This is specific to a date, July 3rd of this year, which is when I gave birth to my son. And that's just when you said, two conflicting feelings. That's exactly what came to mind, because I had trauma and anxiety and joy and peace at the same time. And it was very confusing to me. But it was, my midwife was very validating and saying, when she said, it's understanding that you might feel joy and happiness because you have this new baby, but then you've had a traumatic experience, and that's valid to feel both of those things. So I've recently experienced that. So my drawing is kind of like what was just shared, prickly, and it was like an explosion here in the sky. It's uncomfortable, kind of looks like a firework, but it's supposed to be, negative, that negative feeling. But then below I drew, and I don't know if it signifies anything that I drew the anxiety and trauma piece first and at the top of the page, but then down here, maybe it is signifying, because then grounding for me is being in nature. So that's this drawing is trees and, a beautiful hill and a sunrise here. And I think for me, it is just, like I said, validating to feel two very polar opposite feelings. And for some reason, putting that on paper, even though this is just like a doodle sketch, it's comforting. It's like, okay, it's okay to feel that way. But then, like I said, just coming back to that grounding piece and breathing and just understanding. That's my drawing and my explanation of it.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. That was really a beautiful and articulate explanation of your experience and also what happened for you during the drawing. So really nice job. What I like about what you said was that drawing it really helped you with it. It sounded like it helped for you to be validated by your midwife, and it also helped to do the drawing. And those are both things that are so important in emotional work, getting support, getting validation, and also having a chance to fully express. And I think that that's one of the amazing things about art therapy, is that it's a way to have that experience of really expressing your truth. And I think it's so universal to have more than one feeling at a time. And that's not the way we usually think about emotions, but often feelings will come and go and tumble over each other, and it can be confusing, and art is really a wonderful way to help sort that out. So thank you so much for sharing with us.